大家好，欢迎收看今天的节目。在上一期的节目当中，我们谈到了贝克特的另外一部作品，叫做《克拉普的最后一盘磁带》，讲述的是69岁的克拉普正在回顾他39岁那一年留下来的录音。他企图通过回忆的形式去找寻他曾经拥有却永远无法挽回的瞬间。《论语》当中有云：“子在川上曰，逝者如斯夫，不舍昼夜。”我们永远无法掌控匆匆流逝的时间，也永远无法逃避面对真实的自己。这部作品非常具有贝克特的自传性质。在今天的对话当中，我们将深入地探讨这部作品的一些细节，来了解贝克特与他母亲之间的一些故事。让我们一起进入今天的对话。
I remember, although it is not about art, it's about when I was receiving training in art ed, and Richard said to us, because we are going to have headshot for every actors, but when people, he said, like when people are young, they hate their headshot constantly every time they take their headshot, but after a while, like for his age, when he looks back, you think he's so young, so beautiful. It's like that. It's like something which is, you hate yourself at that period of time, but after a while you sort of think
you realise you were once beautiful.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't think Beckett would indulge in that kind of sentimentality, but he certainly realises he was once naive. So in a way it's a fairly...
Do you think he missed 39 when he is 69?
No, I don't think he misses 39 very much.
27?
I think he misses 19. I think he misses... I mean, clearly in the play, I mean, they're the most sort of beautiful... The two most beautiful moments in the play, and the two moments that are really undefiled by cynicism, are the memory of when his mother dies and the moment she dies. It's very beautiful. He's playing with a dog by the canal. So Beckett's mother did die of Parkinson's disease, we mentioned in the last episode, and she died in a nursing home. And Beckett had taken long walks along the canal while she was dying to pass the time, really. And this is true, he was playing with a rubber ball, which occurs several times in his plays, with a dog, and he's kind of throwing the ball for the dog, and then he looks up and he sees that the blinds have been drawn in his mother's room, and he knows that means she's died. So he misses the moment of her death because he's playing with the dog. And then he decides whether or not he should hold on to the ball, because the ball is somehow now encapsulating the experience of the death of his mother. But he doesn't, he gives it to the dog, and the dog takes it softly from his hand. I think he says it's a thing he could have had with him forever. And the character in All That Fall carries a rubber ball around with him. So that moment is very simple and very touching. And I find it interesting, it's funny when you look at lots of different I've seen Krapp's Last Tape, I don't know, maybe 5 times, and I've also seen the best known recordings of it. And somebody once said it's one of the great roles for an actor, and you think, how can that be? Because there's nothing to it, there's no interaction, there's no extreme emotion. It's very simple in a way, but it's true, and you can see that different actors respond to different parts of Krapp's life and his journey in different ways, partly to do with how they react to the language. But my favourite bit in the original production, the Patrick McGee one, is that when he's listening to himself talking about the death of his mother, a little tear rolls down his face. It's very kind of perfect, and I guess that's the thing about life. It's often our relationship with our parents which is the most powerful, often complicated, sometimes ugly, sometimes messy part of our lives. Our relationship with our parents and of course with our children. I had a friend whose father died when I was living in Ireland, very much involved in this kind of theatre. And the man that died was a labouring man, he was a working man, he was a big, strong working man, not a man of literature or poetry, not somebody who was particularly involved in that world. It was a long death, it took about a year, it was a very sort of Samuel Beckett's mother death, just a long decline. And the day that his father died, he hadn't spoken for a number of weeks, But he opened his eyes and he looked at his family and he said to them, "I'm going down the river now to be with my father and my mother. I'm going down the river now to be with my father and my mother." Which I think is one of the most sublime bits of poetry I've ever heard. So that part of Krapp's last tape is very simple in a way. And then the other thing which really becomes the sort of organising force in Krapp's last tape is a memory of a date he had, essentially. With a girl, a date, a romantic date.
39.
No, a date.
A date, I mean like...
A romantic date.
Romantic date at what his age?
Well, before the 20-year-old one, way in the past.
First date, very first date.
Maybe. I mean, in terms of the autobiography of Beckett, it's probably when he was a schoolboy. Because it's very much about water. It's very much a rivery date. And Beckett went to school in a place called Enniskillen, which was a place full of water. So it was probably when he was 17. And that memory is sort of exquisite and simple and not without sadness, because we know that Krapp's on his own. So we know that it's somebody looking back on a lost love. But it's very beautiful. And then there are other, we were talking before we started.
Is it the part on the boat?
Yeah.
Oh, on the boat.
Yeah, which is lovely. But that's not a relationship, it's not a marriage, that's not what it means to fully engage with another human being. It's
about this very sort of simple but very profound connection at that moment with two human beings.
Yeah, it has profundity, but it's a fragment. It's like a glimpse. I mean, and also he has people he sees at railway stations, or there's a funny bit when he sees a girl walking, a kind of a nanny, I guess, out in a park. And he thinks that she is interested in him, and when he goes and talks to her, she says she's going to call the police.
I watched the video on social media. It is about a guy talking to a girl on the underground, on the subway. And then he said, like, nowadays you should talk to a girl like kind of sisters. For example, if he used his kind of man's voice, the girl would immediately stand up.
You'd know it. I don't think he'd do that.
And then he's not going to call the police.
No, we don't usually call the police, but that's funny. So it has lots of those little incidents in it.